leaves
Buga.
to honor them, to honor myself.
Exactly.
Because January 1st, I'll be 30, and of course, I hang the gloves. I'll quit what they call this usual. I'll no longer be a director news. Yeah,
Yes. But you'll still be here. I mean, you'll still be coming around for us.
Well,
I'm
you
sure.
see, journalism is like, how do I call it? I mean, you can't run away from it. Like Shogun Oshoba, the former governor of Ogun State, will say, anywhere he appears, you say, my name is Shogun Oshoba, a reporter. Even as a governor, he will tell you that. So we need people who are proud of their profession. We need guys who will say, I am a teacher. I am a journalist.
Yes.
And, you know, those days that they just saw journalists as someone with a small jota, with a biro, and nothing else. Just give him some things in one small envelope. We used to have one.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, as we do the countdown, we are looking forward to coming around to come and, I mean, hear from, you know, the wisdom of the elders.
Exactly.
Who have gone ahead of us.
Exactly.
You know, and they eat some rice, you know, and
in the process.
drink some
Absolutely.
juice.
But
you know.
that you have to come to my village, because my village sent me to the city. I have to report back to them and say, you brought me to the village, you took me to the village, now I'm back. You know.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's take a look at the headlines. We begin with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. We start with the lead story there. It says, election spending, politicians move to bypass cash withdrawal limit. It has the riders that says, chieftains collect agents' account details in Nasarawa. Presidential candidates to spend 1.8 billion naira on agents each. APC mum as PDP LP kick. It won't affect our campaigns. NNPP PRP. Policy will force a change. That's according to activists. You'll find all the details on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, you would also find below that the pictorial shows you people besiege the Independent National Electoral Commission FCT office in Abuja as the collection of PVCs begins. You also see beside that $2 billion power grid maintenance expansion ongoing, says the federal government. That's on page 8. And shareholders approve Dangote Cement's share buyback, and that's on page 42. Tinubu in Kaduna vows to eliminate bandits, on page 14. Southeast, PVC's collection in slow start amid rising insecurity, on page 3. Woman arraigned for assaulting police officer, on page 37. Malami committee working to recover stamp duties, says the presidency, on page 4. I will restore peace, improve mining in Plateau, Atiku says, on page 14. These are the major stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, next we'll take a look at the leadership newspaper this morning, and it goes political with its major story. 2023, Atiku, Tinubu, Obi unveil economic security packages. That is on page 4, and it comes with riders here that says, I'll eliminate kidnappers, killers troubling Nigeria. That is from Asiwaju. And PDP candidate promises to fix bad roads, revive Kura power plant in Plateau. FG slams Atiku over comments on Boko Haram's existence, and we will save Nigeria from collapse, says the Labour Party flag bearer. And still some more stories on leadership newspaper. Job loss, youth protest planned closure of One Chevron base. That is on page 23. And talking sports, Messi sends Argentina to Qatar 2022 final. Going towards the top of the front page of the leadership newspaper, Kenya's Raila Odinga to speak at leadership conference and awards. And at the very top of the front page, scorecard. Nigeria now supplies 8,000 megawatts of electricity. That is according to the minister. And INEC rules burning of offices and apathy to PVC collection. Details of that can be found on page 8. Now, these are the major headlines on the front page of the leadership newspaper.
All right, now on the Punch newspaper, the lead story talks about 2023, says INEC vows persecution of voters' card buyers and sellers. You'd also find Commission insists on beavers to combat PVC fraud. Police working with INEC to track riggers, force headquarters. You'd also find mass rallies, that's above the masthead there, mass rallies on local government autonomy to hold Tuesday. My life in danger, ex-Ekiti Speaker petitions IG. Nigeria leads in yam production, exports none. That's according to the federal government. And then you'd find also at a footnote, Senate postpones hearing on cash withdrawal limits, fake soldiers in court for terrorizing Lagos communities, Majestic Messi secures Argentina World Cup final sport. And then you also find reps direct NNPC to end petrol scarcity. These are the stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Next, we'll take a look at The Nation, and it carries this major headline on the front page. Banks get marching order to sell off Disco's shares. And of course, we have a rider said government explains sack of core investors and targets 22,000 megawatts. Now, that's the major story on the front page of The Nation. You'll find towards the bottom of the page there, Tinubu promises to end banditry terrorism in Northwest. And at the very bottom of the front page, CBN abuse Naira and go to jail. Obi promises to end stealing in government. At the very top of the front page there, above the masthead, with IU in office, no deal with Atiku, and this is attributed to Wike. How to end petrol crisis by reps, and it comes with a rider here that says agencies to urge to partner. Oyetola, I did not hire 12,000 workers in Oshun, and 14 persons, 22 cows die in road crash. Details of that can be found on page 2. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of The Nation newspaper.
All right, now on this day newspaper, the lead story says, Wike, I would have won PDP primary if it weren't manipulated. You also have the rider says, insist he doesn't have any rift with Atiku. You also have ex-VP Okoa PDP governors salute Rivers governor at 55. At the top, at the very top, you'd find U.S.-Africa Summit. Buhari restates 30 gigawatts electricity target by 2030. Nuclear fusion. Scientists announce major limitless clean energy breakthrough. Aleke, that's below the masthead now. Aleke, Onanuga's allegations, Ogbagbena clears air, challenges them to present their candidate for debate. Also, Obi in Kogi pledges to make Nigeria producing a nation. These are the stories on this day newspaper. And let's also take a look at the Blueprint newspaper. And the lead story, after restructuring Discos, Nigeria goes for $550 million World Bank lifeline for electricity distribution. Also, Tinubu promises industrial revolution. Atiku to restore peace in Plateau. Dwindling economy, federal workers demand 30% salary stimulus within 14 days. I have no personal issues with Atiku, Wike insists. Unknown gunmen abduct woman in Rivers State. All right, now let's get more perspectives on this. Like we told you, we have a guest reviewer, Ben Chema, in the studio. Thanks again for joining. Now, let's talk about the lead story on the Daily Trust newspaper. This cashless policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the withdrawal limits that has been put on, monies in the coming months. Politicians seem to be devising other means of going about, running their activities. Initially, there was the fear that, there was the confidence that this could help check the issue of vote buying and the rest of them. Now, the story is saying that politicians are making move to bypass this cash withdrawal limit. Are you confident that this policy will achieve what it set out to achieve, really?
I'm confident up to maybe 90% when it comes to checking election spending, campaign funds. If really the authorities will stick to their gun. Those days that the moment you see a convoy of politicians, virtually every booth has hard currency, has local currency to settle, buy votes, sway votes, buy security, influence election administrators. You see, that is truly going to reduce if really they stick to it. And I think the timing, as far as I'm concerned, is right. Why should money actually be the determinant of the electoral process in Nigeria? If, yes, you need fuel money, you need to pay venue, pay this, pay that, these are things you ought to do. But when it comes to now paying the voter, buying voters' card, and I pray that all of that will be a nullity, because going by the voting pattern, the machine will have to tally with some of your fingerprints, will have to tally with even your face to ensure that you vote. Now, are you going to scuttle the process when some people are already saying, look, there will be no electricity to charge, phone charge the system and all that? INEC is saying they are capable. GSM service providers are saying they are capable. So why are the politicians fearing? And if one can stay in a village and send money to the city, you can as well vote in the village, and my vote will count, will be registered in the city. So I think that these checks and balances brought by CBN is going to be a good thing in terms of how not to corrupt the electoral process or corrupt the election itself. So let them cry, but if you're now saying, okay, we want to buy, you could be buying a commodity that you will not use.
Regardless of the commendations that we have heard, on this cashless policy, we are seeing that members of the National Assembly are kicking against this. They are supposed to, as a matter of fact, have an interaction with the CBN governor. Is there a likelihood of reversing this? Do you see this?
You see, I don't foresee it. It will simply be a resolution whereby resolve. We condemn this in totality, and that, and that, and that. In the end, resolutions are never just, they are not the laws. They can't make a law now to ensure that between now and the 15th of this month and up to when elections will come and go. I believe when the elections are over, there's going to be a relax of this policy. And so I don't foresee that anything will change. They'll argue their own point. Yes, the CBN will argue its own point. And of course, we'll move forward. If really they are pro-people, pro-human beings, I mean human beings, I think that they should allow it be. Let the CBN have this. So when they say limit as to how much you withdraw, I mean, why are you insisting? If, however, there are some big companies that will need some money to run this country, I mean, there should be some waivers for them, of which, yes, there is or there are. But when you now say individuals who indeed are politically exposed persons, that with the moment, oh, so politician has come, people troop in because they know money will just be released. And you see the way people, sometimes they carry this and fling. I still remember the very sad photo at the point when the governor of Zamfara State visited a military checkpoint or military area, security area. And he was busy flinging money to soldiers. And they were rushing to grab. That was a very bad image for this country. I think if you needed to give the soldiers something, look for their commander and just say, Hi, gentlemen, you have given commander 5 million for all of you. Thank you for the job well done. But when you begin to fling it, even in a political rally,
it looks undignified.
It looks, honestly, we have brought disrespect. It's so mean. I mean, it's deriding to bring them to that level.
Okay, well, all right, well, stepping away slightly away from that, but you did mention something in regards to that when we talk about PVCs and elections and the rest of it. PVC collection has started, and we've got reports of it being bedeviled by one or two issues here and there, from logistics to the unavailability of the PVCs to the offices being understaffed and all that. And we're seeing in the Daily Trust now, they're reporting that it has gone off to a very slow start, especially in the southeast, where there are security challenges. Do you see this playing a major role when it comes to the PVC collection and, of course, subsequently the election in that area?
Sure, it has to affect it, especially the security situation. I was looking at some television footages, different television stations. At the point, they show some areas where the people were collecting PVCs. In some states, move to another by way of comparison. But when it reached Abia State, I mean, you could just see some people seated waiting for people to go collect. I mean, you could count them just on their fingertip. Whereas some other people, they were busy, I mean, or milling around, and even with allegations, look, we are paying so that we collect. Some would say they've stayed there for about 4 hours without collecting. But in the southeast, as you said, truly, I think that something is fundamentally wrong there. Yes, the Civil War has come. Yes, they said there has to be that integration and a reconstruction and a reconciliation. But if the Southeasterner is feeling that that has not been done effectively, and you feel, look, we ought to have the presidency. Now you have Peter Obi, who indeed, I don't know, outside Zik, in the Igbo, of the Igbo extraction, outside Zik, who indeed is having this kind of do I call it, around the federation kind of reception. It may not be 100%, but you see that there is nowhere Obi will go that you don't see a crowd around him. I remember when they were doing SDP NRC, and at that time, some candidates were, aspirants rather, were going to some states. And I remember somebody went to Katsina State and got 1 vote. I mean, but now you have Peter Obi. If the Igbos have been saying they'll be marginalized, we need the presidency and all that. Now you have somebody who is coming up so strong. Why is the Igbo man saying no? And you still find some Yorubas rather rallying support for Peter Obi.
Okay, so,
so it has to, the Igbo thinking has to change when it comes to this federation.
How do we boost people's confidence to really come out to get these PVCs? Because sometimes, look at the pictures. If the MCR could put up the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper there, you'd see the pictorial there showing you the massive turnout in the Federal Capital Territory, for instance, people coming out to get their PVCs. And I can bet that at the end of the day, perhaps not up to half of these people that came out will be able to get their PVCs. You know, so if you look at that, are we making adequate arrangements really to ensure that we get this PVC seamlessly? Sometimes you go to some of these places, you see that they are understaffed. You know, not enough people to attend to voters, prospective voters. Let me put it that way. And then sometimes even if they have the numbers, maybe they do not have the systems to work with and all that. So I don't know. How do we navigate?
Yeah, you see, since it's just about collecting voters' card, if elections will come and they said, let us have some ad hoc staff, which are recruited and they do the elections effectively, help to conduct the elections effectively. What is wrong in having also this ad hoc staff in terms of voter card distribution? It's a thing that could be done easily. And if at the point you feel, okay, in so areas, look, go to so primary school, go to so secondary school, not necessarily the point at which you registered, but within the area. If, for example, in Wuse, for example, there are 2 or 3 secondary schools. I mean, those in zone 1, go to the primary school in zone 1. Those in zone 4, go to primary school in zone 4. If you decentralize it that way, or you make it a massive kind of a thing, massive deployment, I think the collection will be that easy. But if we make it a situation where people will leave their offices, go queue, leave their work, some will say, after all, what am I getting? And you are seeing this big crowd because of the kind of campaigns that have taken place. Campaign of religious angle, Muslim ticket. Campaign, okay, it's time for Igbos to have this. Campaign against PDP, campaign against APC, and there's this massive awareness. People going for these cards to ensure that their vote will really count. But again, the INEC, like I said, if they do massive recruitment of ad hoc staff, they have the list of those who have helped to conduct elections. Just call them, mobilize them and say, come, you're going to help in terms of catch distribution. And that will be done easily. But if they make it to sound like it's a favor, then there's a problem.
All right, well, let's move slightly away from that. Something that's been generating lots of debate now, even though it's been overshadowed by politics, is Nigeria's power sector. It's always been a problem. We had the privatization, we had new discourse come in. At the end of the day, investors were thrown out, banks took over. And we're hearing the minister saying that Nigeria now supplies 8,000 megawatts of electricity, which means generation is not a problem. And then with the Nation newspaper now is saying that the banks that have actually taken over this discourse have been given the marching order to sell the shares that they actually have. How sure are we, or do you feel that if these shares are sold to other investors, we will not find ourselves in the same situation that we find ourselves now? Because they were sold before, and now we're in this situation.
Yeah, you see, there's something in business circle they call insider trading.
Okay.
When they unbundled NEPA at that time, break it into generating, GenCos, distribution, discourse, marketing, transmission, and all of that. Who are the buyers? These were people who also sat down. They were part of those who laid down the laws, the methods of selling, and how much it should be. And they turn out again to be part of the buyers. So you see the thing you call insider trading, they know everything, and of course it's like you set the examination question and you go and answer the question again, and of course tell me how you will fail. So the fear is when you say we'll cancel this one, set up another, I mean, you are still going to do with this or deal with the same set of people. Honesty has traveled too far from Nigerians, many of them. Honesty,
perhaps it's
very far.
It's time for us to recall it back
honestly.
to the country, because we need it now more than ever.
Sure.
All right, let's take a look at other stories. Mass rallies on local government autonomy to hold on Tuesday. This issue of local government autonomy is becoming, like, in fact, like a sing-song right now. A lot of debates, some for and some for against, you know, and we've seen this constitutional review, and sometimes when it even gets to the subnational level, it doesn't get the reception that you will think it should get. So where do we move? Where do we go from here? And this rally, to what extent will it change anything?
How do we move? Where do we move? Your questions. The fear of a sitting governor is the beginning of wisdom to some lawmakers, senators, House of Reps members, and even the state assemblies. The governors tend to pocket almost all of them in the state. If you think you are so vibrant at the national level here in Abuja, then you go back to base and meet the governor. When you think you are a vibrant speaker of our state assembly, look, we need autonomy for the local governments. Of course, the governor will engineer your colleagues and they impeach you. Because the governors, via what you call this joint account, are still holding on to the jugular veins of the local government, the main existence of the local governments. So we expect that as campaigns are going on, if you are a sitting governor and you want to go for a second term, can you make it a priority? Vote and simply say, and I challenge people, let us know, the governor that will say, vote for me and you have local government autonomy. I've not have you had it? I don't know. Tell me. And when you now have a mega rally to support this, of course, rallies are free.
Why does it seem like the state assemblies are not buying into some of these things?
Because they fear the lion that is lying down, and that's the governor. Tell me, when President Buhari said, look, when, for example, there is money given, 100 million here in Abuja, they move, the governor takes 50 million. Then it says, local government, take this one, go and pay salaries and take care of your visitors. No development, which is true. Where have you seen even feeder roads being done by local governments? None. Is it markets that is supposed to be the purview of local governments? You see that the state governors have taken charge of that. Is it dispensaries that are supposed to be for local governments? Healthcare centers, it's supposed to be for local governments. But you see the states have taken care of that, have snatched it. When general hospitals are supposed to be for the states. And so, whole lot of, primary schools, they've snatched all of that. So, too many things. Forestry, name it, that is supposed to be with the local government. So, if they were to have this autonomy, I tell you, this insecurity, the local government will absorb quite a lot of people and employ them in various facets of local government lives. And from there, those they cannot absorb, the state governments will take charge of that. And if the local governments have not been able to absorb some, then they now come to the federal. But today, every accusing finger goes to the national government. The president has failed. The president has failed. When indeed, tell me, today governors of different political parties are fighting politically as political enemies. When the president brought executive order giving the state assemblies the autonomy, giving local governments autonomy, not just autonomy, financial autonomy. The whole governors, irrespective of political parties, became one and a single force against the president. And they went to the Supreme Court and they defeated the president. So if they defeated the president and the Supreme Court says, Mr. President, you can't be a member of the executive and be a lawmaker. By having this executive order, it means you've created a law. So you can't occupy two places. It's not a military rule. So we expect that as presidential candidates are going around this federation, they should also make it their front burner. Take it as a flag bearer to say, vote for me. Local government autonomy is assured. So when you say there will be massive employment, tell me the massive when indeed local government authority local governments are not having autonomy.
There's also the need for the people to actually pressure lawmakers at all levels, both at the national and at the subnational level, to actually make sure that they commit to this, because at the end of the day, like you said, the president at the executive level, or maybe having limited powers to actually make sure that some of these things happen.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And I still remember when there was this media visitations, early days of this present democracy. When you went to Kano State, that time, local governments controlled their money. You could see projects for local government begging to be inspected.
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, we have to go. Thank you so much for your perspectives on the program this morning. We look forward to having you again.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a short breather now, and then when we return, we'll take a look at other issues on the program. Join us again.
But in a situation where you find that